The night in southern Louisiana was darker than I had ever imagined. The moon was a mere sliver, obscured by ominous clouds that hung low in the sky. The air was thick with humidity, and the swamps on either side of the road seemed to be closing in on me, their shadows writhing like restless spirits. Despite my growing unease, I pressed on, my hands clenched tightly around the steering wheel. I had been driving for what felt like hours, the winding roads of the bayou becoming more and more disorienting with each turn. My headlights cut through the darkness, illuminating the twisted branches of ancient trees that lined the road, their gnarled fingers reaching out as if trying to snatch me from the safety of my car. The silence was deafening, broken only by the occasional chirping of crickets or the distant hoot of an owl. I tried to shake off the feeling of dread that settled over me like a heavy shroud, reminding myself that I was a rational man. There had to be a logical explanation for the sense of impending doom that gripped my chest. Suddenly, my headlights flickered, and the engine sputtered ominously. I cursed under my breath, my heart racing as I coasted to a stop on the side of the road. I reached for my phone, intending to call for help, but there was no signal. I was completely and utterly alone, stranded in the heart of the bayou with no one to hear my cries for help. I decided to get out of the car and assess the situation. As I stepped out onto the road, the air seemed to thicken around me, suffocating me with its oppressive weight. I looked around, my eyes straining to pierce the darkness. That's when I saw her. A woman, dressed in a tattered white dress, stood at the edge of the road. Her long, disheveled hair obscured her face, and she was swaying slightly, as if dancing to a tune only she could hear. My voice caught in my throat as I called out to her, asking if she needed help. She didn't respond, just continued to sway in the darkness. A chill ran down my spine, and I took a step back, my ease never leaving the woman. Something about her seemed off, otherworldly. Against my better judgment, I turned and fled back to my car, my footsteps echoing in the stillness of the night. I slammed the car door shut and locked it, my hands trembling as I fumbled for the keys. I needed to get out of there, away from the unsettling presence of the woman in white. As I started the engine, I glanced in the rearview mirror and froze. The woman was no longer at the side of the road. Instead, she was sitting in the backseat of my car, her hollow eyes fixed on me. I could feel her gaze like ice against my skin, her presence sending shivers down my spine. I slammed my foot on the gas pedal, speeding down the road with reckless abandon. The woman in the back seat remained silent, her presence a suffocating weight in the air. I could hear her soft laughter, a sound that sent chills down my spine. I drove faster and faster, the trees and swamps becoming a blur of green and black outside my window. But no matter how fast I went, I couldn't escape the feeling of being watched, of being pursued by something unnatural. In a moment of panic, I swerved off the road, crashing through the underbrush and into the depths of the swamp. The car jolted to a stop, and I sat there in the darkness, my breaths coming in ragged gasps. The woman in the back seat was gone. I stumbled out of the car and into the swamp, my legs moving of their own accord. The darkness swallowed me whole, the mud sucking at my shoes as I ran blindly through the trees. I could hear the woman's laughter echoing around me, taunting me as I fled deeper into the bayou. Hours later, I emerged from the swamp, covered in mud and scratches. I found my way back to the main road, where a passing motorist finally stopped to help me. I tried to tell them about the woman in white, about the suffocating darkness of the bayou, but they just looked at me like I was crazy. As I sat in the back of the stranger's car, I couldn't shake the feeling that the woman was still out there, waiting in the darkness. And no matter how far I drove, no matter how fast I went, I would never truly escape the haunting roads of southern Louisiana.